smokes the blunts, we smoke the blunts. Rolling blunts and smoke.
Let me get a nickel bag.
$15, little man. Put that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, oh. My jungle love, yeah. Oh. I think I wanna know ya.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Morowse Project. I'm Brad Rosen, and it's just me today. So, me and Aaron haven't been able to meet up. He's been busy with work and stuff, and I've had some school stuff going on and everything, so we just haven't been able to get together. And hopefully we'll still meet up, maybe tomorrow or something, but for whatever reason, like, the thought of not at least having something to put up this week just made me feel sick to my stomach, like it really fucked with my OCD, so I decided I'd at least record a little something, so we have, so we keep our streak going. I don't want our streak to break before we hit 10 episodes, so... and really, I'd like to put out at least one episode a week, even, but, like, I at least want to get to 10 straight before we start maybe, not meeting for 1 week or whatever, and obviously, shit's gonna happen, and sometimes we're just not gonna be able to meet, but, like, so far it hasn't happened, and sometimes I won't be able to do a solo one, or I just won't have anything to say. So sometimes there will be weeks where we don't have episodes, but it feels too early in the show to not have one, so I figured I'd record one for a bit. This probably won't be very long, maybe like, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. I'll try and at least do 30 though, that way it feels like it's worth your time. And I know some of you only listen for Aaron. Hopefully you're still listening right now, and you give me the chance. That way, I don't know, just to bolster the views. And I don't know, that way I feel like making this episode was worth it. If at least, at least our normal amount of people watched, or listened, I guess. I say watched because since it's all on YouTube, it always just says how many views an episode has. But that being said, I have some stuff I want to say, but I want to save that for Aaron. I did finish I did finish Daredevil Season 2. I'll talk about that with Aaron. And obviously, since Aaron's not here, I won't do any songs this week, because most of the fun for me is Aaron laughing at how bad the songs are. So it wouldn't be as fun if it was just me doing songs. But I promise, next time me and Aaron get together, I'll be sure and do a few. That being said, I also started Jessica Jones, which is another Marvel show. It's really good so far. I'm only on, like, episode 5, I think, but it's really good so far, and it has one of my favorite scenes of any comic book movie or TV show that I've ever watched, which is really cool. But again, I'll talk more about that with Aaron, because I'm also trying to convince him to watch those, because then I can talk to somebody about them, like, in more detail. But yeah, that's it for that. I want to briefly touch on, obviously, because I saw it everywhere. Gene Wilder died yesterday. Yesterday being Monday. I'm recording this Tuesday night, even though it probably won't go up till sometime on Wednesday. I was shocked to find this out, because I know who he is, and, like, I feel like I've seen him in other stuff, but the only movie I've ever watched with him in it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which I absolutely love, but I was just shocked, because, like, so many people were like, oh no, I loved him in all his movies, and blah blah blah, and I was like, looking at all the movies they were saying they loved him in, and I was like, holy crap, I've never seen any of these movies, like I said, with the exception of Willy Wonka. So I was thinking maybe I'd go back and watch a few. Obviously some are not going to be good now, because, they're old, but most movies no matter how old they are, they stand the test of time. So, if you have any suggestions on a Gene Wilder movie you think I should absolutely check out, totally put it in the comments, or text me, or message me, or whatever. I would definitely like to see something. I feel like I'm really close to the phone. I'm not usually this close, because usually I want it in between me and Aaron, so we can both get caught by it. So either this looks like it's going to be louder than usual, and if that's the case, I apologize, but, you can always turn your volume down, and maybe I'm crazy. But also, I have a feeling that every time I take a huge breath, like I just did a couple seconds ago, you'll probably be able to tell that a lot easier than usual as well. Yeah. So, yeah, if you have any Gene Wilder movies that you love, that's obviously not Willy Wonka, let me know. I'd like to check them out, because apparently he was pretty popular with people even like my age and shit, which is crazy, because he hasn't been in a movie since the late 90s. And he only did a couple episodes of Will and Grace in 2002 or something. I looked him up last night when I realized that I hadn't seen any of his movies other than Willy Wonka. And he did one other TV show in like 2001 or something. So he'd been retired for a while, at least from film and TV. I don't know if he was still doing plays or something else, but so yeah, definitely hit me up somehow, let me know. What else? So I guess, I was thinking about this earlier. I was still trying to figure out if I wanted to say it on here or not. And I guess I will. So if you stuck with me so far, you're about to find out something that I've told very few people. Including, I don't know, I might have said it before to my parents, I honestly don't know, but they might be finding out for the first time listening to this as well. But, part of the reason I started the podcast is because, I listen to a lot of podcasts because pretty much all my favorite comedians have podcasts. It's kind of like the thing they do, to keep their fans engaged or whatever, and to like, they keep their fans reminded that they're around, and then that way they can get fans all over the world, or, all over the country or whatever, and that way when they go do live shows in those countries, they can be like, announce it on the podcast or whatever, and hopefully they'll have a large enough fan base that will come in just from listening to that podcast. So I wanted to start the podcast in addition to many other things, which I'll get to in a minute, but, because I don't think I want to do it as a full-time thing, but if I could do it as like a side thing in addition to whatever I do, like for my normal job, I would love to try stand-up comedy. Like, I've been watching stand-up comedy for as long as I can remember. I absolutely love it. I have some favorite comedians that I absolutely love. I've met a couple of them. One of them twice, and he actually remembered me the second time I met him, which was pretty awesome. But, so the thing that I haven't really told people is that I want to try stand-up comedy. And actually, if we ever get big enough with this podcast, I'd love to do, like, a live podcast in front of, like, I don't know, maybe for the school or something, since we both go to school here. But yeah, that would be awesome. So I definitely, part of the reason why I wanted to start the podcast was because I feel like hopefully it'll, put me in that direction of getting more comedy writing. And this is something I wanted to do, like, all the songs that I wrote when I was like 14 or 15 or whatever, when I was like a freshman mostly, and I think a little bit when I was a sophomore. But I know the second half of my sophomore year, the only friend I'd really made when I moved to Oklahoma moved, because the town I lived in was a Air Force town. And so the second half of my sophomore semester, for the most part, I didn't talk to or hang out with people that much. So at my lunch, I would mostly just go out to, we had a little quad area with like tables and other shit, and I would mostly just hang out there and write jokes. And I hope I find that notebook, because I'm sure that's filled with fucking gold, like the song notebooks are. But I did that for like that whole semester before summer, and then by the end of my sophomore year, I had made friends with everybody that I hung out with from junior year and into senior year, which I had the same friend group from junior year until I graduated, most of whom I still talk to and hang out with today. There's only one that I hang out with on a regular basis, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I would write jokes every day. Some of them I think would probably still hold up. Most of them probably not. But so comedy is something I've wanted to try for a long time. And hopefully once we've been doing the podcast for a while, I'd like to, granted I'm in Oklahoma, so my fucking options are slim, but I'd like to get up on stage one day maybe and do like a open mic or something, and then maybe if I'm good enough, they'd have me back to do like a opening act for a more popular comedian, which would be awesome. But I guess we'll see what happens, I'm not really like, it's something that I would love to try, but like I said, it's not something that I would try to make my career. It would always be like a side gig, unless I did it and I found out I was really good at it, and then I would consider doing it full time. But I wouldn't really know, because I could get I could get up on stage and be horrible. And just about every comedian that I listen to always says your first few times you are going to be horrible. But if you can handle being horrible and you want to try it again, then get back up on stage and try it again until you're not horrible. So I have no false idea that I'm just going to get up on a stage and be awesome. But I'd like to try it at least once, see if it's something that I would enjoy. Because even if I, like they said, if I bombed and I wanted to try it again, obviously it would be something that I should give an attempt to. So it's not anything that I foresee happening soon, but it's definitely something in my mind that I would love to do sometime. I just realized now that my joke I wanted to make for the beginning of this episode I didn't do, which really annoys me. I was going to say I'm flying Han Solo on this one. That's okay. I'll just make it the name of the episode. Probably not Han Solo, because Disney can be very litigious. So maybe I'll just call it Han, and then in the description I'll say that I'm flying solo. But anyway, that's just my random thoughts. So speaking of stand-up comedy, a guy that I absolutely love, who he has one of my absolute favorite stand-up specials. It's on Netflix right now. I believe it's a Netflix-produced special, so I think it will always be on there. But I know for sure it's on there right now. Is called, his name is Mike Birbiglia, and the name of the special is My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. And it's hands down, like I said, one of my favorite specials I've ever watched, and I watch a shit ton of specials because I like a lot of comedians. Sometimes I get more excited for a comedian's new special or a new CD or whatever than I do for like movies and TV shows that I love. And I get super duper excited for when a comedian's in town, which doesn't happen as much here as it did where I used to live. But one of my favorites actually going to be in Oklahoma in a couple weeks. Ron Funches is coming to, I believe, Tulsa, which I know is not super duper close to where I live, but fuck, if I can if I could get somebody to go, I would go in a heartbeat, because I love that guy. He's so funny. So hopefully I can get a couple tickets and somebody will go with me, because that would be fucking awesome. But back to Mike Birbiglia, because I had a very specific reason why I brought him up. Apparently he's doing a show at the school that me and Aaron go to, and it's going to be in October, so it's a while away. But because of one of my classes I'm in, we do kind of like, it's kind of like, because I guess it goes on TV every couple weeks. It's kind of like a school news type deal. And so for this class, I was talking to my teacher, and I was like, oh, I'd like to talk about this. And she told me that it would be possible that I could, not for this first project I'm doing. Also, I believe we're allowed to keep all our projects, so I might save all the projects we do in that class and post them on our YouTube channel, which I think would be pretty cool. But she said that I could probably get to meet him and possibly interview him for this comedy special, or not comedy special, but the night he does this comedy show, and do it for the school, which would be so awesome. Like, it's something that's literally like just about 2 months away, because it's at the end of October, like the last weekend of October or something. But I'm already, like, just the thought of it, I'm so excited for. And obviously I'll keep you up to date on what happens, especially if I meet him. But if I do get to interview him for the school news, that would be so awesome. And then obviously I'd be able to put that on the YouTube channel. But definitely check him out. He's in addition to being a comedian, he's a writer and director and an actor. He also has a movie that he wrote and directed, called Sleepwalk with Me, on Netflix. And he has another special on Netflix called What I Should Have Said Was Nothing, which is also very funny. But like I said, that other one, the My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, is just like, I was in awe when I watched it. Like, I was like, I can't believe somebody could write something this well. Like, you know, like when you read an awesome book or you watch a really good movie and you're like, how the fuck did anybody come up with such brilliant ideas? That's exactly how I felt about this comedy special. And like when I saw that he was coming to our school, I fucking like, and luckily it was in like, this class only has like 12 people in it, and but I fucking out loud audibly gasped. I was like, or something, only for a longer period of time than that. I was so excited. So even if I can't meet him, if I can just, like, I'm definitely going to see that show. But if I could, that would be so much more awesome. I really like the dude, is basically what I'm saying. And I hope that I get to meet and interview him, because it'd be amazing. But yeah, definitely check him out. Obviously, well, if you're into stand-up comedy like I am. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Maybe for another episode, when I'm with Aaron, I'll talk about, like, my 10 favorite comedians or something. Obviously, I just named 2, so those 2 won't shock you. And if I named the one that I meant earlier, I technically named 3. But, either way, I don't know. Just, although it might be really fucking hard, because I love so many comedians, because there are so many funny people. Like, there are so many funny people that sometimes I'm, like, sad, because I know I'm funny. Like, I don't like a lot of stuff about myself, but one thing that I do like about myself is how funny I am, and that might sound a little, I don't know, a little conceited, maybe, but, you know, I know I'm funny. That's one thing I know for sure about myself. So, I know I'm funny, like I was saying, I know I'm funny, but, like, basically that's the only thing I really like about myself. But that's neither here nor there. But, like, some of these comedians I love so much that I just watch them sometimes, and I'm like, fuck, how can anybody be that funny? And, which is why I watch a lot of comedians. Like, A, just because I love the art form, and I love to laugh, obviously, who doesn't? But B, also, just because, like, I like to soak it all in. That way I know, like, because I see some stuff, and I think 9 times out of 10, it's probably not intentional, but I do every once in a while see a comedian who has a joke that's similar to another comedian's joke. I would never say anybody stole it, except for the ones who have been proven to have stolen jokes, like Carlos Mencia. But, you know, I don't know. It's just, I would hate to even have that thought of me, like if I ever were to do stand-up comedy, that somebody would be like, oh, you totally stole this joke from somebody. And I'd be like, no, like either I didn't realize or I never watched this person. But I don't know. Fuck, I'm saying a lot again. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed last week's episode. It was definitely fun, one of my more favorite ones. There's only one episode so far that we've done that I didn't really care for. And it's not because I think it's a bad episode or anything, it's just because it was difficult to record because me and Aaron, like, recorded like 30 or 35 minutes or whatever. And then we stopped halfway through because we just fucking ran out of stuff to talk about. And, like, right here and now, I think 30 minutes is okay because it's just me, and I feel like I'd be taking too much of your time if I talked to you for an hour, unless I actually had an hour's worth of stuff to talk about. But when it's the two of us, I'd like to try and at least, have it somewhere between 50 minutes or more. It's not a between. I don't know why I said between. But I like to have it be at least 50 minutes. That way I feel like it's more worth your time to listen to. But, so we recorded half of the episode, and maybe you can go back and figure out which one it was. But we recorded half and ran out of stuff to say, and I got really frustrated. Not because we ran out of stuff to say, but because I let it bother me more than it should have. And then we went back and we found a couple other topics, and then we recorded for like another 25 or 30 minutes. I think the episode turned out fine. That was the only episode we really had a problem with. And I think it's also probably the one that I had to edit the most, because there was a lot of gaps and time where nothing was said or where we were trying to figure out what we were talking about, and instead of stopping the recording, I just let it go, which is not what I'm doing here for the most part. There's a couple times where I just let it go when I'm stuck, but for the most part, I've stopped the recording when I got stuck. But, but other than that, I've loved every episode that we've made, and I even like that one, but there's that one particular one is definitely my least favorite so far. But last week I thought was fun. Still, so hopefully you all enjoyed it, is what I'm getting at. Because, like, I think personally that if you, like, the most fun podcasts that I listen to are ones where you listen to people talk and they're having fun. Because obviously if they're having fun, you're going to have fun. It's kind of the same thing as people making a movie or TV show. If they're having fun making it, you're probably going to enjoy yourself watching it, unless, of course, it's just complete and utter shit. But even sometimes a movie can be really shitty, or a TV show can be really shitty, and it's still enjoyable because, the actors or the characters or whatever make it so. But, that's neither here nor there. I just personally feel like when the people who make it enjoy it, usually it's enjoyable. So I guess I'll let you guys in on another little secret. This one's not it's not quite the same as the other one that I revealed closer to the beginning of the podcast of this episode, but yes, it's kind of just like a teaser for what's to come on our show. Inspired by a podcast that I recently discovered about a little less than a week ago, and I'll talk about that with Aaron It's not really that special. I'll talk about it with you now. This podcast that I discovered is called How Did This Get Made? And it's basically a podcast where these people go back and watch like either really shitty movies or movies that are like crazy, like out of this world crazy, and they just, like dissect it and talk about how like batshit crazy or how like ridiculous or terrible a movie is. And it's it's just as fun to listen to ones where they absolutely hated the movie because it was just terrible, as it is to listen to the ones where the movie was so insane that they're like, how can you not love this? Like, they talk about both Crank movies, which, if you haven't seen, are like out of this world insane, but especially they prefer the second one because it's even like it takes the first one and like puts it on a whole nother level, and those are both very fun movies. But so inspired by that podcast, it's not going to be quite the same, but as I mentioned in a previous episode, one of my favorite movies of all time is the original 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween movie. And I was talking with Aaron recently, and he told me that he was not a big fan of the original Halloween series, and that he'd only seen like 2, maybe 3 of them. So I told him what we should do is me and him should watch it together and like then talk about it on the show, maybe like 10, 15 minutes an episode, talk about 1 or 2 of the movies, and like see it through his prism as either somebody who doesn't care for it or, who hasn't seen it, versus my prism of, I'll admit when one of them's bad, especially the third one, which is fucking terrible. But for the most part, since I'm a huge fan of the franchise, I might also try and defend it a little bit. So I think that'll be a fun dichotomy, especially since, we're right around the corner for Halloween season. Speaking of Halloween, I think I figured out what my costume's going to be. I will, I'm not going to say anything yet because I don't have anything purchased or anything planned out yet, but I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do this year. And I'll definitely keep you posted on that. I'll post pics on the Facebook page and everything, as far as that goes. But then, after we do the Halloween movies, in contrast to me, Aaron's a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and like, I think 3 was good, and maybe 4 or 5 was okay, but I hate the rest of them. And I kind of like the remake, which I know a lot of people hate. And then I love Freddy vs. Jason, but of course that one's equally Freddy and Jason. So that one doesn't entirely count. But, so, after we do the Halloween movies, we might do that for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies too. Which I would like to do just so we can watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2, because that one is insanely horrible. It is like one of the worst movies I've ever watched, and I've seen a lot of bad movies. But maybe that's just, maybe I'll watch it again and be like, oh, it's actually not as bad, or I might even like it. I highly doubt it, but maybe. Because that's one of my favorite things to do, is go back and watch a movie that I either hated or didn't care for or don't remember at all, and then go back and watch it and like be like, holy crap, I love this movie. Which doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's really cool. I can't think of any off the top of my head that I've done that, but there are a few movies where actually, here you go. And I didn't hate it the first time, but I was actually a little disappointed, was Pineapple Express. I remember because Pineapple Express came out, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, Tropic Thunder came out, and I was looking forward to both. But I thought Tropic Thunder was going to be the less funny of the two. And when I ended up seeing both, I liked Tropic Thunder more at the time, and Pineapple Express not as much. I still thought it was funny, but definitely thought it was a big letdown. But now, over time, I still enjoy Tropic Thunder, but I actually like Pineapple Express like a million times more. And part of it's probably, there was a night that me and my friend Derek and Eric and my sister and one of her friends all stayed up super late and we watched it. I don't know, it was probably like 3 or 4 in the morning when we watched it, and for whatever reason, it was a lot funnier watching it then than it was the initial time I watched it. But, so that's one, and there have been others that I either didn't care for or just totally forgot about, and then I went back and watched it again and I loved it, which is a much better feeling than when you love a movie and then you go back and watch it and you're like, oh, this is like absolute garbage. Like, why would I have ever liked this movie? And sometimes you can watch a movie and be like, oh, well, I was a kid, so I understand why I liked it then, but don't like it now. Whereas other times you watch a movie and you're like, even as a kid, I should have thought that this was terrible. Like, what was wrong with me? But, you know, so I think that'll be fun, for sure. Well, hopefully. So that's something to look forward to, and, you know, the other stuff to look forward to, more talk about the Punisher, I keep calling it Punisher. It was it was Daredevil Season 2, technically, but, it was more so, or just as much about the Punisher as it was Daredevil, and hopefully I'll be farther into Jessica Jones, so I can talk about that a little bit more and everything, But I guess that's it. It's been a little bit over 30 minutes. Hopefully I didn't bore you to death with this episode. So, yeah. I guess that's all I got to say for now. I totally want to do, like, I don't know if you guys ever do, like, watch Facebook Live videos or something, but I totally want to do one of those for this. But that's not gonna that's not gonna happen until me and Aaron can get together again. Maybe for like a 10th episode or something special. And if me and Aaron can hook up, then I'll probably put that episode up as soon as I can. I might save it till next week, just so in case we run into a problem again, I'll have that episode. But at the same time, you might get lucky and you might get 2 episodes in 1 week. We'll see. I don't know. See how I feel and how everybody else feels. So hopefully you like this episode, and if not, you know, it's free, so fuck it, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, please, you know, like and subscribe and comment and all that shit, because I don't know, it makes me feel good. I like seeing that people are actually watching this shit, like, that people actually care enough, either about the show, or just care enough about us as their friends / family members that they actually pay attention to this. It makes me feel good. Like, it's genuinely, like, one of my favorite things. It's my favorite thing that I do right now, but it's also just one of my favorite things. Like, I like to think that, you know, people are enjoying it as much as we are. At least that's what I hope. Anyway, so, thank you for listening if you stuck through this whole half hour of craziness. And yeah, hopefully next week it'll be me and Aaron again, or next episode, because like I said, if me and him get together to record like tomorrow or, you know, Thursday or Friday or something, I'll probably put it up when I get it on the computer after that. But like I said, I just felt sick about not having anything to put up on Wednesday, because I prefer to put it out on Tuesday, but obviously, if you don't record until Tuesday night, then you can't put it out on Tuesday. But I feel like Wednesday's the latest we should post it, unless we're not going to do an episode. But like I said, I don't like the idea of not doing an episode until we at least hit like 10. Yeah. Thanks for listening again. And for the Morowse Project, I'm Brad Rosen, and always remember, fat guys try harder. Say what?